Hey guys, Morgan Cheever here for I'm Unsigned. I'm here with Ron Pope. How you doing?
Good to see you. I'm doing well. How about you?
I'm good. So, how have you found Australia? You've been here touring.
So far, it's been really cool. Like I said before, I really love marsupials.
Yeah.
And our selection of marsupials in America, somewhat limited.
Somewhat limited.
Somewhat
closer
limited.
to zero than ours.
Yeah. Well, we have possums.
Yeah.
But apparently possums here, they make a kind of possum here that is cute and small. Our possums are very large and kind of fierce. They hiss. And so I've visited with koalas twice. And kangaroos twice. And then I also, down in Melbourne at the Healesville Sanctuary, I get to also hold a baby wombat. And
A
so
baby one, because the big ones are quite heavy.
And yeah, you don't want to hold a giant, like you want like a little tiny,
you want
friendly.
a cute little one.
Yeah,
that
you're
you
like,
can just think, oh my god, that's really cute.
That's where my head was at. But yes, we did that. I saw a Tasmanian devil. I saw dingoes.
Yeah.
So I've done a lot of seeing of animals
You've
since
done
I've
a
been
lot
here
of-
because I was very curious about that.
Yeah, well, because one of the questions I was going to ask you was, have you had any close encounters with our dangerous bugs and stuff like that? Because people, before they come to Australia, a lot of the time go, oh my god, everything can kill you. And you've gone the cute angle.
Yeah. Well, apparently, dingoes attack small people sometimes, children and such. But I'm relatively large. I'd say like fair sized, and so. And they were in a cage.
The dingo.
Yeah, they were in a cage. That also helped.
Yeah.
But other than that, yeah, I didn't encounter any especially fierce animals. I did see a Tasmanian devil, but they're only this big, and they're in a cage.
Again, you think you could hold your own with a Tassie devil?
I would probably run away, I guess, and be like, ah, little guy, leave me alone.
Okay.
So that would be my strategy.
I think that's a pretty fair strategy. I think I might do the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah. All right. Well, you're here to promote a new album. How's it going?
Well, the album I put out this year that we're on tour to support is called Atlanta.
Mm-hmm.
And I've been on tour to support it since February, I guess. So I've been all over the world. And Australia was the end of that cycle.
Yeah.
So it's kind of building up to this all year. And the reception has been incredible. People loved the single, One Grain of Sand. People have been incredibly receptive of that. And it's been neat to see people come to the shows and really just kind of automatically accept the album. Like even early this year, people were showing up and singing along to the tunes. And so it was great. I mean, these shows were very, very positive. And I saw people, this is my very first time in Australia. So I saw people kind of react in a very positive way to all the new material, the old material, and that was really gratifying, because I didn't really know what to expect here. I'd never been here, so it could have gone either way. And so it was really, really great, and it's always special to see people react to the new music. And so that was also, as I said, incredibly gratifying, really enjoyable. So, and the shows were special here, really something awesome.
Yeah, well, the music on this new album, it seems to have evolved a lot, and it seems to be quite a positive new thing. It seems to be very free, and is that kind of how you feel about it yourself?
Thank you. Yeah, absolutely. Actually, the idea leading up to this album was that I wanted to create something that felt like it had all the elements of things that I love in it, all the parts of music that I love that sometimes would get neglected on my albums because I would say, you can't put that in here. You can't. This won't work with this. And I decided that rather than kind of psyching myself out, I would take all these things I love, line them up, and then say, okay, well, if I want to put a banjo in this, and then I also wanted to have like great big, anthemic guitars in it, and a choir. How do I put all those things together to make them make sense?
Yeah.
Rather than before I would just go, this doesn't work. You could have the banjo, get rid of everything else. And so I really focused on that. And I think that's what I'm proudest of within this, that in the Atlanta album, the arrangements are unique. They're mine. I feel like there's nothing quite like the record. No, yeah, I'm really I feel very, very positive about how it turned out, because once again, I didn't know how it would go. I never heard anything like it. You know, the idea I had in my head, I had never heard a record that I was like, oh, let's make it like that.
Yeah.
And so it could have turned out badly because I didn't have a template. But it feels great, and I'm
received
happy.
very well.
Mm-hmm.
You certainly. It's good. I think it must feel very good to go. I like this. I like this. I like this. Who cares about the rules? Let's just do it anyway. Make it work.
It was especially enjoyable to do that. It's also nerve-wracking, certainly, because you don't know. You know, you spend a lot of time writing these songs. You spend a lot of time in the studio making the record, and then you're mixing. You're doing all these things, and the whole time you're like, maybe people will hate this. It's possible that this is just for me. But at some point in your career, I think if you just want to make art and that's what you're pursuing, at some point in your career you have to say, I'm gonna do this because I believe in this.
Yeah.
And then we'll see. Like you can't make the records thinking, gee, I hope, you know, the most important thing to me is that people like this. The most important thing to me is that I'm satisfying my need to create. And if I'm inspiring myself, hopefully I will inspire others.
Yeah. Well, that's a huge thing about what we do at Unsigned. We give a platform for unsigned musicians to put out what they're creating. And with A Drop in the Ocean, as you know, it went huge by MySpace and YouTube, and it's. Do you think that how big was social media in how big that went and for you? You know.
Well, social media was definitely at the center of that happening, because A Drop in the Ocean kind of started to move, and then, you know, and also, I mean, all of my music has started to move based on a real grassroots movement. And in the past, you know, before social media, if something was to happen like that, one person has a giant network of people. But to tell all those people about a song, they would have to call them or go see them. And now, if someone likes one of my songs, and they have 1,200 friends on Facebook, and they say, oh, I really want to share this with people, it's important to me, they can just post a link to a video on YouTube and say, hey, I love this song, check it out. And then those, you know, 1,100 people or whatever, those people have the option to see that video.
Yeah.
And so I think that's very unique to our times. There's, you know, kind of never been the option to do that before. So you can spread things much more readily. You know, a lot of, you know, kind of going viral is it's just these grassroots movements accelerated by the fact that people can access their networks much quicker. Well, they can just access their networks much quicker. So you know someone who you went to school with, and you know someone that you took an aerobics class with, and you know somebody that's friends with your mom, and you know somebody that played ball with your sister, and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Well, it used to be you'd have to call all those people, and now you can just put it out there on Twitter, on Facebook, whatever, and all those people at the same time who you might not see very often can instantly find out what you're interested in, instantly find out what you're listening to. And that's an incredible thing about social media. So yeah, it's been incredibly positive for the quick spread of music. It's much easier for people to kind of disseminate this information.
Absolutely. Since you started out as you're an unsigned musician, and then you've made a lot of waves on your own. Do you have any advice for people in that position? Anyone who's looking to make their own networks and their own music without the support of the big record companies or anything like that? Do you have your own advice?
Sure. First of all, I think right now there's a lot of positive things that come with with the access to social media, and then with the kind of the recording process becoming more democratic. In the music industry, there used to be haves and have-nots. Haves were bands like the Rolling Stones. They had a major label deal, they had access to a bunch of money, so they could hire people like Glyn Johns, a big-time producer, to make a big, good-sounding record. in a nice studio, and then if you needed to bring in session musicians, you could hire them. That's expensive, etc., etc., etc. And then the major label gives you distribution, and so the record can be in stores, because otherwise how people buy it, and they also press those records to put them in the stores, and all these things take millions and millions of dollars. You need access to an international network, you need a booking agent, and all these things have to happen. And now, there's a middle ground between that and it used to be that you struggled, you tried to get a major label deal, and that was it. You were playing in bars otherwise, and you were scraping to try to make some demos so that you could get a record deal. That was all there was. And in the middle now, there stands this place where you can make records very inexpensively. You can make a very strong sounding recording in your bedroom, and so there's that. And then you can put your music on these social media platforms, and you can promote it via Facebook and Twitter and be on YouTube and things. And so a lot of people don't tour at all. Lots of people that are ostensibly the popular musicians don't even go on the road. So it's interesting. You hear about people who have blown up on the internet and then get major label deals and have never played a show or played 3 shows. There's a bunch of kind of artists that whose names are known now who are like that. They played in their bedrooms, they recorded some songs, and now because people got to know them online, they were all of a sudden they were, let's push this and let's promote this music. I think that's kind of an interesting function of the times. So my advice to people is, there's all this stuff. There's the possibility of you can use TuneCore or a company like that. That's who I use, TuneCore, to put your music out and get it on iTunes and Amazon and Spotify and all that stuff. And you can make videos that look great in your room and put that on YouTube, and you can do all this stuff and record on your own and not spend a lot of money and be self-contained. However, I think a great mistake that a lot of people are making, and I think this is kind of where a lot of the struggle is that just because you can do something does not mean that you should. And so I think a lot of people are kind of missing a very important period at the beginning of when you want to be an artist, of learning to be an artist, learning to do all the things that are required to be a musician, like playing their instruments and singing and writing songs that are good, stuff like that. Really, it seems silly, but the central focus has to be on those things, performing, being a real musician. And then I think if you learn to do all of those things, and you learn to write songs that are good, and you're creating something that you feel like the world needs, and it is of some value, then make a record and put it out. I think a lot of people are like, well, how do I get people to notice me? Well, do something good. Start by doing something good. I don't know, I think, maybe that seems like a little obvious or a little flippant, but it's real. I think the focus has to be on that first and foremost. How do I create something good? And, so learn to write songs and really focus on it and spend time, and don't think the first song that you write is going to be good. It isn't. Unless you're Bob Dylan, you're not going to write good songs for a while. It takes time. It's a process. I spent years writing really bad songs. And even now, songwriting is my trade. And so most of the time, the work that I do, adequate to not so good. And then the idea is I pick the best stuff that I do and put that out. But I'm constantly writing, and I'm constantly working and trying to better myself, hoping that I can continue to improve and do something better. And I think that is kind of lost in the instant gratification kind of culture that surrounds music now, where you can, buy Logic for your computer for $200 and get an interface, inexpensively, and get a cheap mic inexpensively, and learn to do all this stuff. It's pretty easy, and then make recordings on your own and put it out. And a month later, you have all this stuff put together. You don't even know how to play. You don't even need to know how to play instruments to make music anymore, which is interesting. And it opens up the world for a lot of creative people. Obviously, Kanye West doesn't really play instruments in kind of a the classical sense of it, I guess. And he's obviously he's making music as a career, and he's very talented. But I think it's important to focus on those elements. He's a very gifted producer. I would say that's his instrument, is that he creates tracks. And then I don't know, a lot of people kind of lose that. And so my piece of advice, the short end of that the short answer at the end of my very long answer to your very short question is do something good. First and foremost, make sure that you're doing something good and really work on your craft, because otherwise it's a moot point. Like, you don't need to be promoting your music if you're not doing a good job. So work on that first.
Okay. Right. Would you like to come back to Australia?
I would love to come back to Australia. They let me hold koalas here. What, are you kidding me? But I mean, seriously, the shows are great. I think the audience here gets what I'm doing, which is awesome. I mean, that's you never know, and so it's cool when you show up and people get it. So I would love to come back. I'm hoping to get to come back sooner rather than later. So we'll see. My video for Atlanta is right here, and my video for One Grain of Sand is right here. So check out Atlanta and One Grain of Sand. Thank you. I'm Ron Pope, and I want you to check out ImUnsigned.com.